City Stadium, and later today he's meeting the executive committee. We hope to link up with the reporter Daniel Wahome, who will be giving us the latest from that particular meeting that's happening in Nairobi. And also matters that we're talking about the PDC World Championship Africa qualifiers. I'm Bernardo Kumudis and much more. Of course, let's do this together. And on set with me, I have officials from the Buffalo Darts groups. That's the chairman, Jeff Murithi, on my immediate left, and Daniel Karori, that's far left. He is the Secretary General, Buffalo Darts Group. Karibuni sana, gentlemen, on Sports Check this Monday.
Thank you very much, Bernard.
Yes, and let's talk about the PDC World Championship Africa qualifiers and why it's a tournament that's to be held and why Kenya is hosting it. How privileged is Kenya to host this particular event?
Actually, the PDC World Championship is the biggest event in the world, and every professional player looks up to participating in this event. This event has been going on in Africa for the qualifier. This is the first time it will be held outside South Africa, so it is a privilege for Kenya and the Kenyan players. They have an opportunity to showcase their talent and also grow the sport in this country, having been given the rights by Africa Darts Group. Africa Darts Group has the right to host this event in Africa. It has been hosted in South Africa. We participated for the first time in 2023. We took around 8 players and we did quite well. They were impressed, the Africa Darts Group were impressed by the performance of Kenyan players, and that's how we got the right and the privilege and the opportunity to host this event in Kenya, and it will be the first time. We are doing it in collaboration with the Kenya Darts Association. They have been very supportive, and actually the chairman was supposed to join us, but unfortunately the chairman KDA, Mr. Gidhae, unfortunately he was not able to come because of various commitments. Yeah, so this is a very big event. And we also have the Africa Continental Tour, as we are also hosting the Africa qualifier for the PDC. We have Africa Continental Tour. This event we run from 27th to 29th. The Africa Continental Tour will be played on the first 2 days, 27th and 28th. Then we have the PDC qualifier that would be the main event that will be played on the 29th.
Yes, and Daniel, how ready is Kenya for this event?
I think we have prepared well. Since our experience last year in Cape Town, South Africa, we were able to train players on the professional side. As Buffalo Darts, we have been supporting players running tournaments at the professional level, because we need to bridge the gap between the amateur darts, which is usually played here, to the professional side of the sport, which is more opening ways for individual talents and people to be able to be exposed and play at that level. So for the last 2 years, we have been preparing quite well in terms of the players, the tournaments, going across the country, sensitizing enough players to be able to come in and be able to play and understand what is expected. Because at the professional level, we look at statistics like 3 darts average, we look like statistics on how long a game takes for a player to complete, and other things that come in there. There is high level of discipline at professional level. So we have done our part as Buffalo, working also with our partners within KDA to be able to open and expose our players to that level of competition. So we believe we are quite ready for the competition. We are just waiting for the rest of Africa to come in, then we can show what Kenya has to offer.
Yes, and Jeff, what caliber of players do you expect from, let's say, Kenya first?
We expect the highest kind of competition from Kenyan competitors from the Kenyan side. We have been preparing players that can compete in the world stage. We have, as Dan mentioned, 3 darts average is what the main statistic on gauging the players' ability. So for us, we have players that are easily playing almost at the professional level, that is around 80 average consistently. So those are the players that we expect that will win win it for Kenya. We also have players from South Africa coming in, players that have played previously in the World Championship. We have Cameron Carolisen, Carl Gabriel. We also have Devon Peterson who will be participating as the president of Africa Darts Group. And we also have players like Johan Geldenhuys. These are players that played in the World Cup. Yes.
Yes. And Daniel, maybe talking about Kenya and how it's going to prepare for this particular championship. The rest of the Africa is coming in. What do you expect from them?
Well, we expect high level of competition. Most of the other players individually have been exposed to this level of event. So there's a lot that goes on into preparation in terms of individual players and countries. So for Kenya, what we needed to do is more focus on how we bring more players, because there are very many good darts players who play outside Nairobi, where the Buffalo action is. We have groups in Nakuru, we have groups in the Mount Kenya region, we have groups in the Coast region. So we needed to bring all these people together and try and get the best talent from Kenya to represent us. So that is what we are doing, and I know there are people, uko mashinani, who have not heard about the event and they would like to participate. It's a great avenue for them to come and showcase their talent at the highest level, because the more we get these high caliber players from Kenya playing at the top level, the more we open up the spot to the rest of the people who are ready to play at this level. So it's a great opportunity for us as well as Kenyans to come and look at Africa from a different view. And since we'll be more this time, expecting us to emerge winners in this specific event and put the Kenyan name in the map. Yes.
And the selection of the 200 players, how was it done?
No, it's all competitive. It's an open tournament, so anyone can participate. But ideally, we also have the statistics of many players who have come through, and we know the crop of the players that we have. So even if there are other people who may come in to just have the experience of the event, we also need to ensure that our top 100 players are able to showcase their highest level of darts, because we have their statistics currently we've been collecting for the last 2 years, and we know they can compete. Yes.
And so the 200, Kenya must have one of them at the PDC World going through the qualifiers, right?
Yeah, actually, that's what we are looking at. Of course, it's not guaranteed, but with the level of preparation of the Kenyan players and having the host advantage, then we know that a Kenyan player will qualify for the first time ever. Yes.
I would like to ask, what's the confidence? What's the main reason behind the confidence of saying that Kenyans must go through, and also how many will be eyeing the number of tickets that are available? But let's link up with Devon Peterson, who is the president Africa Darts Group, who is joining us via Zoom. Yes, Devon Peterson, good morning. And how is the preparations for this event? And understand that you're the only pro from Africa in this particular PDC. And maybe how do you see or predict the championship to be?
Good morning. Thank you very much for having me. It's bright and early. It's beautiful Monday morning. And the one thing is knowing that we bring in this massive showcase and the showpiece to Kenya is a dream come true for us, because a big part of the development of the ADG, which is the African Darts Group, which we started so many years ago and officially kind of launched in last 2 years. It's now at the point where bringing it to Kenya is almost showcasing to the world that it's not only South Africa that has the crop of talent. We have players like myself, Cameron Carolisen, Johan Geldenhuys, Carl Gabriel, Simon Adams as well, and many others that have showcased on the big stage and looking to compete and manage the possibility of qualifying. Me, myself, have qualified a few times, more than a handful, but it's the gateway and the opening to the professional platform. It gives us an opportunity to shine on the main stage where all the glitz, glam, and the very best in the world kind of rub shoulders, and Africa is part of that. It's been a great success so far with the ADC. With the ADS, and just reaching out. I mean, our first conversation with the likes of the Buffaloes, Jeff and Dan, and Manpreet as well in the early days, and we said that we want to expand the sport, bring it to Kenya, and make sure that everybody sees it. Now we're in the probably a few weeks away from one of the biggest showcases on the continent itself. My preparation has been going okay. I think I got one more week left, so this is where I turn on the screws and kind of devote loads of hours to it, make sure that we can compete with the very best in Kenya. I mean, you've heard about the stats, you've heard about everything. We've put these things in place so that players can know what their form is like going into events. They can also experience what it's like to play at this very high caliber and this level and what is expected internationally. So I think that with the players coming over from South Africa, it's the serious ones. It's the ones that know they can win. Jeff said that there's over 200 players, obviously, from the Kenyan side. And we've seen Samuel Gatura getting one of the first ACTs, which was a first win for a player on Kenyan from Kenya on the South African soil, which was a fantastic opportunity and also which was the springboard to us collaborating at this level. I'm also appreciative of KDA coming on board and accepting us in such a great fashion. It's almost a sentiment that we want to have across the entire continent, is where organizations which are mother bodies in their countries looking at ADG as the possibility of the professional pathway. We're not saying we're coming in and taking over. We're literally saying let's collaborate and enhance the talent that you have, and let's make it even better than what it was before. The PDC is looking at Africa, the world is looking at Africa, but all the players are looking at Kenya.
Mm-hmm. And why is this tournament important to African players?
It's the biggest sports occasion in darts. It's the second most watched sport in the UK, second to football. And if you play a professional, whether not a professional, even if you're an amateur player, this is your gateway to know whether you can play on the professional circuit. And it might also be an opportunity to then change your life. My life changed in 2010 when I won the first qualifier for me. And since then, I've been a pro. You look at those things and what I've experienced and the doors it's opened. That's besides the prize fund, which is £500,000, which is a lot of Kenyan shillings. So, I mean, there's a financial gain. There's profiling of a player that increases, it enhances the country, it enhances the continent. There's only pluses basically in this event. But you look at where we are positioned, and everybody might think Africa's in its infancy. The only thing is we know that we have the resources, we have the natural ability. All we need to do is polish them and put them in the light so that they can shine like diamonds. And that's the basic reason why we need to have this, why this important, the event is important, and why we strive for success year on year.
Mm-hmm. And do you think that maybe the qualification or the participation of African players at this particular championship demonstrates the evolution that the sport has undergone in the continent?
That is so correct. I mean, what we've now encountered is that there's no barriers anymore. So when we launched the African Darts Group and in cooperation with the ADS, which is the African Darts Series, which is the week on week in league where we can look at form, we can look at performances. We included the Motor Super Series, which is another opportunity for players to play international. We want to also get other African continents on the World Cup, but we can only do that by showing that we have numbers, we have quality, and we're able to host major events in the different areas. So I think that where we positioned right now, it's definitely a starting block, but I think that for the future to come, it's going to be something that changes the way in which Africa is seen, but not just South Africa or Kenya. We want to make sure that this is the starting place or the birth of many darts and not just darts in particular, but more of a professional setting. Because what we've experienced is, obviously speaking to many other players and administrators, is the sport hasn't evolved in a sense with administration, with the technologies that's part of it, and also just the playing side of it. Everybody just keeps on the same kind of level, and you don't increase your level if you stay at the same events and formats. So we've changed it up a bit, and we've made sure that players now are able to showcase their ability in longer formats, where we're playing first to best of 11, best of 15, and all of these things. Plus, we're looking at other international events now, which is going to see the continent spring to life in a sense, where we're having Kenya versus South Africa and Nairobi, and international events, African Cup, and all of these. But what we're starting at now is at its infancy, but with the biggest event Africa has to offer.
And of course, it is the Africa qualifiers expected to attract maybe the best of the best quality, the best in Africa. What will it say about the level of this particular championship in Africa qualifiers, to be exact?
In previous years, it was tough to say because we never had stats of anybody. It would just be, you'd kind of hear whispers about who's in form and who's now we have a database where we can check on .Connect, which is the database we choose and use. And we have everyone's stats that's in ADG that plays week in, week out. So you can see how Samuel Gatura has been playing over the last 8 to 9 months. You can see how Cameron Carolison and all of these players. So it's the first time that we're moving in that raid where we can look at the players and we look at the form. And I look at those form charts very often simply because I want to see where our growth is. And I can tell you, year on year, we've only been increasing. And it might not be by 10s, 15%, but I'm looking at the incremental growth, because my motto is if you're better by 1% every day in 100 days, you'll be twice the player you were. So that's the basis and the model. And I think that where our players are at now, it gives me great confidence to take the sport to Kenya. I was asked by Matt Porter, why Kenya and what's the reason for it? Because it's such a kind of a change in what we've done over the last, I think it's probably since 2005, 2006. It's the first time it's hosted outside. And my confident response is that we can see what's happening in Kenya. We can see that the development and growth that's happening there. And we can also see that it's an opportunity for us to expand the sport and bring it to Kenya, Uganda, Ethiopia, all of these areas around, and just give it an African feel. So now we're looking, with Kenya being more or less at the center of the continent, more players can attend. There's elements of discovering new talent. There's elements of profile raising. So it only has positives. And I think that with what Dan and Jeff has explained already is the growth and the training for this. I mean, it's not something that you just wake up the next day and say, I'm going to play. It's a mental preparation. It's making sure that your game is at the right point and that you're sharp at all areas, not only ability-wise on the board, but also from an emotional perspective, because this is an emotional roller coaster. It could change your life.
And of course, with the games being in Africa, the qualifiers being in Africa, do you tip Kenyan players to do well?
Of course. I mean, you've got loads of players coming through on the Kenyan side. And I know that there's some players that never even attended the ACT and last year's World Championship qualifier when they came through the first time. But it's a great indication, as in the willingness for them to travel, the commitment to the sport. I think that there will be, I mean, with Jeff saying that it's going to be with a home soil advantage, I mean, there's going to be more support for their players than there is going to be for the South Africans. But I'm sure that a lot of the traveling players that are coming are serious competitors and have been competing for the longest period. So it won't ruffle them too much, but I mean, we don't know what it's going to be like in Kenya when we get there.
Earlier that you won it in maybe a decade ago, but this time round, what kind of a player, what kind of a quality of a player does it require for them to win this time around, maybe in 2024?
It's, I mean, the level has increased. And we're looking at, you have to be in a region of, like Jeff was saying, 80, 85. If you can be in that region, it means that you're going to the board 6 times and finishing a game. That's quality level. I mean, there's only small changes that you can make before you go from the 82 jump to 100. It's the difference of 3 dots. So, I mean, conversion rates, there's a lot of things. And when you play in this level, you'll see that the top players, the cream always rise to the top. So the ones that have experienced big stake games, you also have where you get your outliers, players that you've never heard of. that kind of just make it through and find themselves in the finals or semi-finals. So it's going to be an exciting one, and I'm sure that with the coverage that you guys are going to get in Kenya, you'll be so updated with the action. I mean, we'll be able to make sure that it's on Dot Connect. We can watch it live, and also looking forward to potentially streaming it as well. And this is going to be an eye opener for many of the players in Kenya, in Uganda, in Africa. It's a chance to. It's basically the lottery ticket for any dart player, because what it means is you then go experience a lifelong darting dream to play on the biggest stage the world has to offer. And I mean, who wouldn't want that?
Mm-hmm. Yes, indeed. And as Africa Darts Group, maybe what has been your biggest role in trying to move the game into more to professionalize the game more in Africa? What are your views on how the game has moved in Africa?
I think where we're at right now and the movement and the momentum that we're gaining at this point in time is the likes of the backing of KDA, which is the mother body in Kenya, which I think that is the most important thing, is getting that support. Once you get that support, it means that you're coming there and being welcomed, and you don't have to be faced with constant, almost closed doors. We've now worked, I mean, with KDA and potentially the ministry and everybody else. It's such an important part, but we think that with us moving it to Kenya, it now opens the opportunity to take it even further afield and start launching it in areas that we don't have any franchises, so that we can start this. Because what I believe is that Africa has a strong footing. But I think that the most important thing is to know that we have the ability. We just need to bring our administration, our future view, our vision, and then enhance that and change it and just give that to the African players as we see fit.
Mm-hmm. And how has the collection of availability of the database of number of players across the continent been important to the growth of the game in the continent?
It's important to have data, rich data analysis for all players, simply because as a player, you want to know your position where you were last year and this year. I think that that's also one of the areas that we've enhanced in, is simply because you are able now to click on and check out exactly what is happening with your form, where you're lacking and where you've improved, your strengths and your weaknesses. And I think that if any player wants to improve, they need to know that part of their game. So I feel as though where we're at now, we put in things in place. It's 2 years now as an official African Darts Group, the only affiliate on the African continent to the PDC. And you look at that position itself, and it engages us to the world in a different way, because now they know that we're serious about development, we're serious about the sport, and we're able to offer them opportunities into Africa that they never had previously. So I think that that's one of the changes that we have made, and we're seeing that it's starting to almost become infectious in other areas, where they're looking at how we hosting events, how we capturing data, and they're starting to come together and understanding that that sport is not only a hobby sport that you play with friends in a garage. It's literally taking it from garage to grandstand and changing the entire perception of the sport on the continent.
Mm-hmm. How quickly should we see that in Africa?
It's a slow progress. I mean, we started in South Africa a very long time ago, and the growth has been consistent. I mean, I broke through, like I said, in 2010. And that thing springboard us to kind of advance a lot quicker than a lot of the African countries. But I feel as now with our involvement in ADG, we're able to now knock on the doors and go to mother bodies like the KDA has come on board now and say, listen, we feel as though what you're currently doing has been great. We feel as though there's an opportunity to become even greater and give your players an opportunity. And we want to come through with an entire solution, which is a plug-in and not a complete change. So what you're currently doing, we're going to plug in, enhance. So yeah, it's like having a light bulb and just plugging it in, and now it's brighter than it's ever been before.
Mm-hmm. And the PDC could just be one of the maybe a major championship that African players look up to. But is this enough?
Of course. I mean, this is only the start. We're starting with a big one, which is great because that's the one that gives the boom. That's the one that gives the impact. But the most important thing is it doesn't stop there. There's continuous evolution, continuous growth, continuous development, and continuous competitions that's going to come to the likes of Kenya and Uganda and Ethiopia and all of the surrounding areas as well. And we're looking to spread our wings in different ways so that we have the sport, the competition, and also the access to these international events available to everybody. Before it was only South Africa that kind of had an opportunity because our connections wasn't as strong. But now through the African Darts Group and ADS, there's a platform, there's a format, there's actually a structure that you can follow to make sure that in your area, in your country, that we can actually create a successful plan that moves forward. And I think that that's the big thing. I mean, they talk about Africa Unite, and this is the way in which we're uniting through the sport. We're uniting so many different organizations to make sure that we sing as one and not different. I mean, if this was a choir, we'd be singing all in different kind of sounds and sound like like an angel falling down the stairs. But now we're starting to harmonize a bit more, and once that is a structure that everybody adopts, in a sense that we want to take it on board and make sure that our players get the best opportunity, that's when we'll see the biggest change in the darts on the African continent.
Yes, indeed. And talking about Africa unity, and I'm sure that during the championship from the 27th to 29th, it will be like a big meeting of African players. What kind of message do you want to come out from the meeting, and what kind of ideas maybe are we looking for as far as the games will be going on?
I think the number one thing is people to come out in numbers. Whether you're a player or you're a fan, come enjoy the sport. Come see what it's like. Come play in a sport, because our one thing is that everybody's welcome. With the open door policies, because I understand that we can't have old boundaries for new ideas. So we're making sure that everybody has an opportunity to either play or experience it. And what we want to create with that is the culture of spectator sports. We obviously all go watch football, we watch rugby, you guys attend big races and all of these things. And now we want to put darts in that mix as well, and make sure that people understand that the future of the sport, it doesn't hinge on what this event results in. But I think that it's the starting point for us. And I feel as though there's many more international events that could come Kenya's way. There's many more ACTs. We have plans in the future to create a North and a South, which will kind of just change the way in which we see the event, and also make it a massive pinnacle event, which is a spectacle that we can engage in, where countries can come together and form a united Africa through darts and the sport itself. And I feel as though we a few, probably not even years anymore, I think we're a few months away from presidents just coming in and saying, listen, we would love to be part of this. What can we do and how can we change? And I think that if I had a parting message, it would be that understanding that our role as not only me as the player, but me as a visionary within the sport, is that we must make the sport better than it was before. Mm-hmm. When I arrived in the sport, played under Darts South Africa, it was great, but we evolve from that. We go, listen, we explore the world, and we come back and we can share our knowledge, share our experience, and that is how historically how knowledge was shared. So now we're coming back and we're changing the sport itself, and I think that if we can make one united sports body, where we can go, listen, guys, let's adopt the African Darts Group and let's change it. It doesn't mean that we're taking away what we created. It's just we're going to make everything a lot better.
Yes, and how do you want the Africa Darts Group's vision to be seen through this particular championship?
I think the system itself has been tried and tested over the years, and I think that many people will see that it's taking it state of the art with tablets and all of these things and the connections. But I think that once we all coming together, you feel that African energy, and there's something to say about an African energy right now. We at the very pinnacle with regards to events happening, with sporting occasions and victories happening all over. I think that where we are at right now, that energy is so important to be felt in the room, and once you feel that energy, it becomes contagious, and I think that it can change the way in which the sport is viewed, not only by spectators but also globally.
Okay, thank you so much, Devon Peterson from UK, joining us on the Sports Check. Well, that's Peterson Devon, President Africa Darts Group, joining us from the UK via Zoom, talking about the PDC World Championship Africa qualifiers that are coming up later this month. And of course, with me in studio, I have Jeff Murithi, who's the chairman, Buffalo Darts Groups, and as well as Daniel Karori, the Secretary General. I mean, the various points raised there by Devon, and one of them is the crucial point of having the database for Africa for Kenyan players, basically. Now, let's put it on the ground. And how have you handled it?
Actually, how we collect data, we have a league, as Devon mentioned, Africa Darts Series. We play every Friday. So on this league, we actually collect data. We score using tablets. This is an online system, and anybody in the world can access the data for our players. So we have been collecting this since last year. We also host monthly tournaments. These are match plays. We call them match plays. So we invite, it's an open tournament. We invite players from every part of the country. We also collect the statistics. We have them. So, and that's why we are saying we are very confident that we'll have one of us emerging as the best, if not reaching the final.
Yes. Yes. And maybe the aspect of confidence and the determination for Kenyan players to succeed, how will it be seen through this particular event?
It's the excitement and the joy and the freedom to play, because at this level it's quite an open. You represent yourself, you represent the game, and you enjoy while you are at it. Because the level of setup, the level of professionalism in how the games are set up, once you are used to that system, it makes it easy for you to be able to express yourself on the hockey. The hockey is where we play. So it's very important for the Kenyan players who participate, and even the rest from the East Africa continent who on the East African side of the continent who will be participating for the first time at this level, to be able to express themselves and play at their best level. We have the best equipment. We had great support and sponsorship from through partnership with WinMau. Because something people don't know is most of these professional darts are made in Kenya. The dart boards and the equipment are made in Kenya, but we don't use them here. So at this event, it will be the first time Kenyan players are using some of these equipments which are just exported. So it's a great opportunity for us to play at the highest level and to enjoy the best equipment and to showcase our skill. And I can tell you the players are ready from the last few tournaments that we've had. Even the Kenyan players who have been playing the KDA events and the East African Darts Federation events, there was an event that closed this week. This weekend, the Kenyan players did very well. They did the same in Tanzania a few months ago. So we know the level of the game in this corner is looking good, and we are not afraid of anyone. Something to give us hope is the Africa Continental Tour 1, which was held in Cape Town in March this year. It's a Kenyan who won both the men's series and the women's series. So it's very important for us to know we can compete as Kenyans, and we are confident at the level that we are at. Now it's just to showcase our skill at that level. Yes.
What will be the format of play?
The format will be for the ACT Africa Continental Tour. We will have a round robin, and we have a knockout of the last. So if we start the round robin with 128 players, then for the knockout we'll have 64 players. If we start with 256, then the knockout will have 128, and until the final. What we play in legs, it would have best of 5 in the round robin, and for the knockout stages, we'll have first to 6. As Devon mentioned, we want players to get used to long format games. First to 6 is best of 11 legs, and the final will be best of 15 legs. Yeah, and for the PDC, for the PDC Africa qualifier, this is a knockout event, and this is how it is played in the UK PDC World Championship. So it's a straight knockout tournament. We start with the 200 players, straight knockout. If you advance, then you advance to the next stage until the final. We get the winner for the final. Yes.
And of course, in the PDC, what kind of player does it require? Who wins at the end of the day? The one who does what?
Actually, what we are looking at, when you're playing legs, of course, the person who wins most legs wins the matches. In this is as mentioned by Devon. The winner will take £500,000. That's around 100 million Kenya shillings. So it's enough motivation for any player to want to play in the World Championship. Yes.
And also, Karori said enough motivation for the game to be professionalized, right?
Yes, because a lot has been said about the game, even talking around the grapevine, around the town.
Yeah, where it's played.
Yeah, the game is a bar game. You know, people associate it with a game that you play at the back of the bar or the club. But now on the professional side, we've brought the game into the faces of people, into the halls, into environments where even young children are able to play, women, families are able to participate, so to bring the darting community together. So that is what we've been able to open up in terms of this market and having that exposure for people to play darts at the highest level, because there are some people who would wish to play, but they would necessarily not be the bar-going people or the people who are not attracted to that side of the club. Now we need to bring the game into the halls and the dart halls and environments where individuals are able to get in and play, grow their talent, motivate their kids, because as you know, we are trying to make sure sports is a gateway for many people in the country. So this is one of the avenues, because it's the easiest sport to set up, and with consistency you can get to that highest level as Devon got into. So it's a good opportunity for anyone and for the people to make way for the next generation coming in by opening the routes at this level. Yeah.
And of course, while trying to put the game in front of everyone, there must be resistance.
Yes, we have not had that much. Maybe the other African countries, they may have a bit of that. But also, as you understand, there is status quo in each and every environment. So something new and a change process, you expect there is a bit of resistance. So there's a lot of sensitization in terms of the players, the government, the people running the darts across the country, to be able to understand how it benefits the whole community, because we are opening up darts. We want to package darts as an offering that can attract sponsorship, can attract partners to be able to help each and every quarter in terms of darts to be able to play and being sponsored, because all the cries we've had across the nation is darts is not sponsored, or we are not attracting sponsored. Then we looked at it in a different way, is how are we packaging the sport for sponsors and other stakeholders to be able to come in. So this is how the Buffalo Darts Group looks at it. And this is with the guidance and seeing the success of the African Darts Group in South Africa, and how do we implement that within Kenya, and then try to see how it grows across East Africa. So this is a great opportunity for us to move from the back bench to the front facing.
Yes.
Yeah, and also to even motivate the children, because as you know, when we were growing up, we used to watch the festival of darts back in the day, but then it got lost at some point. Now there is a whole new 2 generations that have come on that may not have ever seen Kenyan players playing darts on the screen. So it's a good opportunity to also give those an opportunity to see, so that even kids can grow up, even our children play darts and they enjoy the sports and they watch. So why not open up the doors for the rest to be able to come in and enjoy the party? So this is one of those opportunities that we have been looking for, and now it's here with us. Yes.
Jeff, and the success of let's say, Devon, you know, being one of the winners of this highly acclaimed event, definitely it does well for the sport in the continent.
Yeah, actually Devon now, as he said, he started playing the PDC at 2010. Those are 14 years ago. The opportunity of playing in the PDC is that you get to earn a living playing darts and doing what you love. Now you also get to compete in various competitions. Once you break through, the PDC has competitions weekly, so you as a player, that is what you gain your living from playing darts, and the opportunities that's out there, you get the opportunity to get sponsored by private corporations, apart from the prize money that you're winning. So I think I think we have over 200 professionals playing now.
Yes.
Yeah, so with tour cards, but apart from those with tour cards, we also have players that are get invited into various competitions. So I think even for the Moda series that Devon mentioned, this is another opportunity for African players to be playing. Apart from the PDC, the Moda Super Series is a very good opportunity for players to play internationally from Africa. So I think it's a very good opportunity. And again, the competition coming here in Kenya, I think for the East African countries, I think let's participate in numbers. Let's show that the PDC, let's show the mothers that we have good players, that they have opportunities of getting players from this side of the world. And also for the fans, I'm asking for them to come to watch and witness the kind of players that we have. We'll have various sections for the fans, so please come in numbers. Yes.
And of course, as Jeff says, Dan, I mean, looking at maybe at how important would this event be an eye-opener to Kenyan?
Yeah, it's a whole new world out there. Within the darting circles, there's a lot that is happening. Just the same way we see professionals in other sports, football, rugby, etc., playing at club level, at that level. There's a whole world out there within darts through the Professional Darts Corporation, and there's a lot going on. So this is an opportunity for us to also showcase we are able to enjoy that in this country as well, and for people to understand the different ways you transition from amateur darts to the professional side, and be able to prepare yourself to get to those levels. So the level of competition is high, the level of production, the preparation, the whole setup, even in the fan base and the entertainment side of the thing is great, so that we can also attract the fans to come and enjoy the games, and even families and different stakeholders to come in and see how different the sport has changed and transformation into the future. How are we looking at as we prepare Kenyan players to play at the professional level? So it's a great opportunity for all of us, and I keep on seeing a lot of opportunities in the different aspects of the sport, because there's nothing new. It's been done elsewhere, it's working, and we have the opportunity. There's a lot of talent in here. As we said, we have a lot of statistics of the different players who have played within our tournaments and within our league the last 2 years. And we know if nurtured well and given the opportunity and well sponsored, these people could represent the country at that level. They could represent and play professionally, like Devon and the rest who have been able to earn a living out of playing darts. So it's something that will open the eyes of the different stakeholders, open ways for us as well. Also, we need to be looked at as a darting market in the world, to open up for sponsorship and investment into the sports across this side of the continent. Because 2-3 years ago, even if you asked for stats, there are only about 2 players from Kenya who are within the statistical aspect of the play, and they play in the US. So you would understand, maybe they just play there representing the flag, but from here within Kenya, there were no key statistics that can help us understand if they are real professional players or there is real talent of darts in Kenya. But now there is, and we are able to showcase that.
Yeah, and when you decided to dig deep and find the statistics, what did you unravel?
When we started, I think because the players, as we mentioned earlier, and Devon said, you keep on improving. So when we started the players, it was a bit difficult to get players who would play 70 average and above. But right now, that has become normal for most of our players, because when you have statistics, you're able to look at your game, look back, where are you going wrong? So the standard has improved And coming to this World Championship qualifier, there has never been a better time for Kenyan players to compete against other African countries. With that knowledge of how your game is, you have the confidence even to play in these big leagues. Again, for the ladies, the same, we had the same issue with statistics, but now they have improved. We have not mentioned about the women's series. We'll also have a women's series within the ACT. So I think it's also a good opportunity, and we're asking all the ladies that play darts to come and join us, and also showcase their talent, and of course win the tournament here in Homesol. Yes.
And how hard has the sponsorship been to get?
Well, it has been a hard sell, to be honest, because of it's been on the back burners. There's a lot that goes on into football, athletics, volleyball. So that is seen as the other sports that may come up or not. So it's been a hard sell. We've done our part. We have attracted some key sponsors who will be supporting us through this event. And it's something that we have been working on consistently. And this also opens up that channel for sponsors and different partners to be able to come into the future darts event and to make this market bigger, to be attractive to those types of sponsors who would like to come in and be associated with the sport. As we said, the way we package it, it's just like any other product. It needs to be packaged in a way that the sponsor may also see what's in it for me. To be able to participate and sponsor. And that is why we have been working so hard to do it the right way, to be able to attract those kind of partners to support us and make this journey successful. Yeah.
And so with the event less than 2 weeks away, everything is set. You got all the sponsors on lock?
Yeah, most of the preparations have been done. We received the boards from WinMau. WinMau is a official partner of the PDC. So we received the boards on the 14th. I think maybe you can share. We have some photos of us receiving the boards. So those are the key elements. Of course, there are other preparations that going on at the back. We also have secured the venue. The venue will be Broadwalk along Ojijo Road. That is set. I think Kenyans should come and experience the event there. I think it will be a first time that it will be held in such a big venue. We'll have 32 boards. 32 boards that can accommodate at least 256. So I think this is the first time we are having an event in Kenya with such a high number of boards. I think the other events that we have that are big are not more than 24 or 16 boards. So we are looking at 32 boards. So the preparation is there. In less than 10 days, the event will happen, and we're asking guys to come and register. So again, for registration, it's an open tournament. Anybody who wants to register can visit our Buffalo's page on the socials, that is Instagram, Facebook, all those socials. We have shared the link. Then also we have shared links on the darts platforms. If you are in any dart platform on WhatsApp, the link is there. And again, our number is 0719 501 501. 501 is usually the number for each leg, the maximum points that you can. So our number is very easy for darts players. It's 0719 501 501. Reach us in case you want to participate. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. And maybe it will be in a big, say, big venue, right?
Yes.
By again, sports and entertainment, maybe in the country, it's been a struggle to nip it together. This time around, maybe how do you say it? Like, you have to attract even those who will not be playing, but a player can come with the family or people to hang around. How are you going to make sure that sports entertainment this time around, you give them a feel of a memorable event, so to say?
Okay, so our setup is based on the PDC setup and how you do it. Indoors, you set up places for families, places for players. You set up drinking and entertainment areas outside the playing zone. and all those. You set up screens, and to ensure that there is entertainment, you are able to open up ways for people to enter in with walk-on songs and to bring all that hype and entertainment part of it, and ensure that the communication around the streaming and the major games. There are some games we know that will be high level, so those will be on the main stage and they will be screened across the venue and also streamed across the different platforms to ensure that people get to enjoy and understand the games. There will be also fun engagement events in between games for them to be able to enjoy the venue as well and to enjoy the sport. So this will bring in that sense of community and being togetherness, and for people to enjoy in a setup that is secure, that is comfortable, and there is high level of sport. So it's just to bring those three aspects together and to ensure that it's an enjoyable family hangout or individual hangout and something to look forward the next time you hear the games are there. Yes, so we have made sure we've gotten a very good ballroom, well lit, well secure, and well set up for people to be able to come in and enjoy the games.
10 countries from Africa, is it an average number?
Those are the guaranteed or confirmed numbers. We expect more because, again, this event has been broadcasted everywhere. So we expect a few surprises. But, of course, the confirmed countries with players, number of players, those are the 10 countries that are mentioned. And we expect more. Probably we can even reach 20. Which is a very good number. Yeah.
Yes, and maybe the selection of the countries that participate, was it about those who send in their request to participate, or it was based on where does the top players come from?
No. This one was based on the confirmation from players because we are the host. So, of course, the players have to confirm with us. So the confirmed countries, that's what we are talking about, around 10 countries so far. We are 2 weeks to go, so probably we'll have more. And that's how we look forward to seeing it. Yeah.
And maybe the spirit of Africa. Devon talked about Africa uniting and also using this sport just as a vehicle to bring the one voice for the continent. What do we see in this particular event? Are we foreseeing it being a powerful event for the oneness that we propagate so much as black people?
Actually, from the experience we had in South Africa, we had a lot of that togetherness. We felt very welcome when we went to South Africa. We actually got overwhelmed because they were so happy to see Kenyans for the first time. So again, we want to reciprocate that to all African countries that are coming. We want to have a warm, to be a warm host and actually welcome everybody on board and have that togetherness, as you're saying. Let's unite as Africa, and that's the only way we can grow the sport. Yes.
Yeah, and we also want to showcase the cultural side of Africa, our foods, our music, our way of life through this darts event. So that's more of how the African Darts Group packages this, and we are looking forward to package it as well and show the Kenyan spirit through this, so that everywhere we go, we are remembered as a country, we well represented what we are as a country to the rest of Africa, and we welcome again the rest of the world to come and enjoy it as well. Bring in the sports tourism aspect of it into the whole game, and this is something good for us to be able to showcase what Kenya has to offer.
Is it the right time to speak about the continent having one powerful body?
Yeah, I think for that, it will be for the good of the African continent to have at least one body that can represent everyone. Africa Darts Group is trying to bring everyone on board. So I think it's good that we support the Africa Darts Group in growing the professional side. We also have the amateur side that probably is being advocated by the Africa Darts Council. So I think having the two bodies working together, one for the amateurs and one for the professionals, that will be for the benefit of all African players. Yes.
And maybe how do we bridge the gap between the amateurs and pros now in Kenya as we host this, this lucrative tournament here? I'm sure this one, the message sends out there is that there are bigger and wide opportunities out there if you you go up the ladder?
First is to be able to get the statistics. You don't know if you're good in your village. So what is happening across Kenya? You may be the village king, but going into the neighboring village, it gets complicated for you. So having the different statistics of players in the different places and being able to see a player from a certain corner of Kenya was able to compete at this event and get to the highest level, or maybe even win, that sends a message even to wherever they come from that there is an avenue here, and we can bridge from just playing at the level that we are to professionalizing the game by getting statistics, playing in professional leagues, and being able to be seen and competing with people at the same level. The thing with that is you're only good versus the people that you play with. So the more you increase your level, you are meeting people who are playing within the same cadre, and you keep on improving as you go by. Because if you are a top player and the people that you compete against or the people that you've been playing against are at the lower level, then you will be winning all games, but that does not mean you are the best in any way. So that is how we are trying to bridge this, to ensure that we are going also across the country to try as much as possible, do a few tours in different places to bring people, because we have the equipment to pick the statistics, to pick these different statistics for people to understand. They can improve their game, they can rely on the statistics to grow their confidence and to show that within a year, you've grown from one level to the next to get to the levels that Devon talked about. If you're playing 85 and above, then you are a key talent for the PDC as well. You can be scouted by any of the sponsors and the teams to play and represent yourself at that level, and that you make a living. You make a job out of that. Yeah, so it's just bridging that gap from just being amateurs and playing at a certain level to the level there that the professional dart is being played. And slowly we are getting there. Slowly we are getting there.
And maybe who are you working with?
In terms of
the partners that you're working with, in terms of making sure that you bring up the amateurs to the pro ranks?
We've been working with the KDA. Right now, KDA, as mentioned, is very supportive of what we are doing. So most of our players play in the KDA league. So they have come from the KDA league, even come to play for us. So they play in both leagues. But most of our players that we actually get, the new players are playing in the amateur leagues within KDA, and again this is very helpful for the growth of the sport, because that's how the sport is grown. So from the grassroots and up all the way up to the professional side. Yes, so KDA has been very supportive for us, and again we also recruit players who are not briefly within the KDA or within Buffalo Darts. We go out there, reach out. We reach out through the social media, so that we have had players coming in. They tell us they just play in their local area, local pubs. So they have come and shown that they have a lot of talent. So for us, we are open to anyone that would want to come and join us and also grow his game.
Yes, indeed. And we're speaking with Jeff Murithi and Daniel Karori from Buffalo Darts Group. They are the brains behind the forthcoming PDC World Championship Africa qualifiers, which are slated for Nairobi from the 27th through to the 29th of September. That's in less than 10 days to come. The conversation continues. Let's take a short break. We'll be back. Yes, indeed. Welcome back. This is the Sports Check. Bernardo Kumo here, and we're speaking with Jeff Murithi, chairman of Buffalo Darts Group, and Daniel Karori, who's the Secretary General from the same club there, the organizers, in conjunction, of course, with KDA of the forthcoming PDC World Championship Africa qualifiers. It is a lucrative pro championship for the darts players in the country, and it is an opportunity for over 200 players to test their mettle against the rest of the best from the continent, where so far 10 countries have confirmed their participation in this two-day tournament that will be happening in Nairobi. So Jeff, maybe before went for a break, we're talking about the 200 players that Kenya is likely to field in this event and how they were picked. But there are outstanding results or key players that Kenya might be counting on. Yes. And how maybe you can just pick on a few of them and how their results really put them in good stead or in that rank where they're the best that ever that will be paraded at the event.
Yeah, actually, I know we have over 10 players that have the potential of taking it. I look at somebody like Samuel Gadhura, who won the last Africa Continental Tour in South Africa. I look at the likes of Omariba, Wycliffe Omariba, who also reached the semis in the Africa Continental Tour. And also looking at our performance last year in the same competition, the PDC World Championship qualifier, I'm looking at somebody like Benson Gary. Benson Gary was able to reach the quarters and he lost very narrowly, the same as Evans Njuguna. Evans Njuguna also reached the quarters and they were losing by a very small margin. So I think having learned from the experience from last year, I think they stand a very good chance, even following them on the statistics, how they are playing this year. They are playing very well. Manpreet Kalsi is the leader in the Africa Darts series. So this is somebody to watch out. He plays very well. He has a very high average. He has even played 91 average in one of the league matches. We also have the likes of Nathan Jeru. And Nathan Jeru is also playing very well. And our legend, John Munyui. John Munyui was playing in the Festival of Darts. He won last week when we played our knockout. So these are the key players that we'll watch out. I think Dan is...
Yeah, and there are also some other players who don't play in the league but have participated in the tournaments. We have players from the Mount Kenya region, Kinasam Dhoita. We have players from Nakuru who are able to also play within the other franchise called the Flamingo franchise within the African Darts series. So we expect the competition to be high at this end. They have played in our tournaments, so they are able to gauge themselves and they know how long the games are and they are well prepared to do this. So we expect the level of play to be high. Also, word has it, Uganda is also coming. So they are our fierce competitors in the region. So we have a few players there who it's more of rivalries that we try to sort out within the darting community. So they're also coming, and Tanzanians, they're also coming. So it's a way of, we prepare ourselves first, but we don't know the attacking communities, what they are coming with. So it's important for us also to be ready as a country, and we've urged our players to be ready for all these players coming in.
And how important is it for Kenya to host this particular event, especially when we have to battle on our own home ground?
First time it's happened. This is the inaugural event. So it's the first time the PDC will have visibility of Kenya as a darting sport. So it's great for us as a country to showcase that we are able to host this level of events. The PDC in its own have different tours in the different countries across the different continents, where they are able also to ensure that they host their own events with their own players in the different places. Who knows, in the near future we are able to host the PDC professionals in this country as well, for them to come and enjoy what we have to offer in terms of Kenyan hospitality and the darting community being exposed and interacting with this level of players. Yes, so it's a big deal for us.
It is a big deal for us. We're talking about the PDC World Championship Africa qualifiers. That's up in darts, and it is coming up in later on this month. But of course, we talked about some of the unfolding events across the country and also in the world of sports, including the visit by the CAF President Patrice Motsepe, who's in the country on a tour of the venues that will host the 2027 Africa Cup of Nations. Yesterday, he did visit Talanta City Stadium, which is under construction, so the renovation works ongoing at the Moi International Sports Center, Kasarani. But today he is meeting members of the CAF Executive Committee to talk matters Africa soccer. Let's listen in to the head of Africa Football, that's CAF, Patrice Motsepe, speaking at a convention here in Nairobi.